Where's Anthony Elanga and what's happening with the centre-back situation at the Mags? Yes, people, welcome back to the Magpie Channel TV. Hope you're all enjoying your weekend. Saturday afternoon now with a transfer update for you lot. And we're going to dive straight into the news that Newcastle United have targeted Giorgio Scalvini as their number one man for that centre-back position this summer. This came out a day or so ago, but now, today, on Saturday, Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that Newcastle United have made an approach to Atalanta, the Serie A side, to sign their young Italian stallion. We want an Italian maestro next to Sandro. Aye, that's what we want to see. Some more Moretti, some more spaghetti at St James's Park. Will we get it? Is the question though. It's going to be a difficult deal to do, is what Romano has stated. Atalanta don't really want to sell, so that's obviously going to drive that fee up. And there is, of course, a whole host of other clubs interested in the defender. Chelsea probably made a bid as we speak. So that's the update right now. I just put my glasses on to make sure I haven't missed anything. Initial approach made for Giorgio Scalvini. He is the main name on Newcastle United's shortlist for a centre-back this summer transfer window. And as I mentioned, not an easy deal to complete. Other clubs are interested in him. So, where do we go from here? Well, it's just an approach at the minute. I can already have people kicking off. Oh, it's an approach again. It's just, in talks again, negotiating again. When we're going to see someone with the shit? We're getting to that in a minute. On Elanga and maybe a bit on James Trafford as well. But in the centre-back pursuit, we know we've cooled our interest in Mark Gahey. We are now looking abroad for better value because other teams and players we've been linked to in the league, in England, are through the roof. A bit like bloody Elanga and Pedro and the rest of them. So we've looked overseas, and now Newcastle are looking at the Italian market for this one. The 21-year-old centre-back from Atalanta, Scalvini. No other centre-backs are in discussion. Maybe that might be a good thing. Maybe a name may just pop out anywhere. Last time we tried to sign an Italian, it was meant to be Barella. Smoke screen for Sandro Tonali. This could be the same thing. So, I mean, there's many centre-backs, as we know, being linked to Newcastle over the past few months. But we are seriously interested in signing the defender Giorgio Scalvini this summer, and he's actually already stated his desire to play in the Premier League back in 2023. When the defender spoke to Corriere dello Sport in Italy, has led to things being said such as, well, he's going to force a move. He wants to move. He's always stated his desire to play in the Premier League. Newcastle United could be the ones to make that dream come true for the young Italian lad. For me, it's the best league there is for the intensity and everything else. Once in my career, I don't even know when, I'd like to play there. Bit of lost in translation there. It's not just me waffling. Those are the words, those are the quotes. Would have been in Italian, lost in translation. Sandro will get him up to speed. Remember, when Tonali couldn't speak a word of English, and then he learnt it so quick. Fair play to the bloke. He's picked it up wonderfully. Still couldn't understand a word I was saying to him at Box Park, mind, after the cup final. But he was a lovely bloke. We got there in the end. He was Harry. His missus understood a bit more. Scalvini has previously been linked with a move to the Premier League. That's why he was asked about this. So even years ago, a couple of years back now, he was linked with a move. And look at what he's kicked on and done. Played in big European finals with Atalanta and won the Europa League. And he's played in big games in Serie A, of course. And with the Italian national side, where he's made quite a few appearances already and is starting to stake his claim in that side. It was Liverpool and Man City that have been linked with him in the past, but Newcastle are the current frontrunners for his signature because of a recent injury that has put off other potential suitors. Now remember, Newcastle made a big move. A lot of money was meant to be at the time when people were saying, what, we're spending nearly 40 million on Tino Livramento, a Southampton fullback who just came off the back of an ACL. Worked out alright then, didn't it? That's why I'm trusting the process. Patience has been hard this summer, and it still is right now. We still haven't seen anybody signed. But I've been saying it. And, you look at it and you think, right, well, let's just trust the process, trust the club, because they've got a pretty bang on so far in terms of transfers, haven't they? And Tino was being one of them. When we're quoted fees and people are saying, oh, it's too expensive, and he's done this, his stats aren't that great. Same thing can be said about Isak. He scored 6 goals the season before for Real Sociedad, and we paid £63 million for him, which is now an absolute steal. Same with Tino. Injury, Southampton. Lewis Hall, Betty got the Chelsea team, 35 million. Amazing. The list goes on. Gordon, 40 million. Why are you paying that much for Gordon? He's not worth that. Could double your money now. Quite easy this summer even. Right, so on that injury that we mentioned, it was a big old ACL for Scalvini that he suffered with, but he has been back in action lately and he has been impressing once again. So Newcastle don't fear that injury. Obviously, with him being so young, you'd think he'd be able to kick on from it, grow from it and just develop on, no problem at all. We've seen many players with these injuries, like I've just said, Livramento, and when you're young enough, you seem to get over it. It's just when you're later on in your career, late 20s, 30s for a footballer, when then they'd start struggling with such a serious big injury. But he's got enough time to bounce back from it, and he already kind of is. And it wouldn't be like he'd be rushed in, forced in to start straight away. Fabian Shaw, off the back of his great season, would still probably begin the season for at least a game or two. Dan Burn as well, obviously, with his dream life movie star kind of season that he just came off the back of with England and the Cup and everything at 33 years old. But with Champions League football, with all these games that are coming up for the Toon next year, we know we need more strength and depth. We need bodies through the door. Of course, James Bunt's now being at the club. He's in charge of, looking after the injuries, the healthcare, really, the medical department, where he's going to be monitoring players' injuries and impacts and, all the data on the training ground and during games and really managing the load, hopefully a lot better than we failed to manage last time we were in the Champions League. 2 seasons ago, failed miserably, had so many injuries. What was it, 14 players missing at one point, a bench full of goalkeepers and teenagers. We didn't want that again. Otherwise, we'll have the same fate like we did last time, crashing out of trophies and competitions and struggling in the league to really get going. So Scalvini is the target. He does already have Champions League experience, and obviously in that Europa final, he's played in some huge games already at such a young age. So it would be a real coup for Newcastle, a real big look for us to get one of the hottest, youngest defenders on the market, where he's really highly thought after. And I did see him in that Europa League winning campaign, where obviously they beat Bayer Leverkusen, who were unbeaten at the time, 3-0. Clean sheet in that one. You've seen him against Liverpool at Anfield and maybe against Spurs as well. So he's got a bit of experience against Premier League teams, and he's had big game experience and some trophies on his belt, on his record, early doors in his career. So the young, tall, strong Italian defender is one to watch for Newcastle. Romano has stated we are in talks. We've approached Atalanta to sign him, but it will be difficult to do, probably financially, and of course because they are reluctant to sell. That's going to be a hard one. What's the fee going to be? Let us know what you think in the comments on Scalvini, on how much you pay for him. As always, it's probably going to be around the £50 million mark. Maybe it'd be going to be a bit cheaper since you're shopping abroad, but then again, with his CV and with his potential, we'd probably go in with 35, 40 and the old 150, and then we'll see if we can do it or we'll move on. Similar to the Elanga stuff. So let's move on to the Elanga stuff then. Where is he? What's happening? People were hoping for a here we go over the weekend. Well, we're Saturday evening now and we still haven't got it. But all the reports are still saying that the bid has been accepted from Nottingham Forest. They are working out the structure of payments. Personal terms have been agreed with the Swedish winger himself. So we're just ironing out the finer details, and he could even be in Newcastle as soon as next week. Early next week, I hope, because the rest of the lads are back at Benton Training Ground on Monday, the 7th of July. So hopefully Anthony Elanga will be joining them. He's like his Swedish teammate, Asula, his best mate, his dancing buddy, and all of the rest of them, all together in black and white, in the new training gear, getting ready for the new season. So what a big old boost that would be to have him in Newcastle next week. It really would. And we're closing in on him. It's confident that it's still going to go through. There's been no hiccups. Nothing's been happening. Villa haven't came in and swooped in. Chelsea haven't yet. So everything's still pointing to Anthony Elanga coming to Newcastle. There's reports the other day that, Forest were wanting Jacob Murphy as part of the deal. That kind of ruins everything. That kind of kills the point, to be honest with you, Nottingham, because would then be left with just the one winger. And off the back of Murphy's season, better stats than Elanga, but obviously a lot older, in his 30s now. He can't go. He's going anywhere. Murphy is integral to the dressing room, to Newcastle, the team itself, the stats he had up last year. No way is he going anywhere. So Eddie Howe very quickly reaffirmed that and rebuffed that idea from Forest. So the 55 million is accepted according to several reports. Again, still, like I said on the live stream the other night, and everything is looking good to point to Elanga, hopefully being in Newcastle for a medical in the next couple of days and signing for Newcastle next week. Very confident this one still gets done, no doubt about it. The money's there, the player wants to move, everything is going along nicely, so he should be Newcastle's first or second signing next week, as we can see the same thing I've just said about Elanga with Burnley for Trafford. Not quite on the fee though. In terms of the same thing for the player wanting to move, personal terms being agreed, just stagnating on that valuation. Again, Burnley holding out for 40 million, Newcastle paying around 30 million. It'll get done. Still confident on that one getting over the line as well. Just sorting out the add-ons, the structure of the deal and things like that. Obviously with FFP and PSR, we have to kind of play clever with it, box smart, and make sure we structure the deal and the payments properly to the best of our ability to pay the less possible in this window. That was kind of long-winded. Basically, pay least amount right now, so it helps us further down the lane. That's what I was trying to get at there. Saturday night, I should be having a beer, not reading this video. We'll sign off soon. Anyone else having a beer? Cheers. Enjoy yourselves. Other little bits to talk about today is that Newcastle expressed an interest in 23-year-old Fiorentina and Morocco midfielder Amir Richardson. That's from Lorenzo Lepri. That sounds like such a fake name. So I'm not going to go too far on this one. An Italian journalist. Again, you know, we could be in the market for a midfielder for sure this summer if Longstaff and or Willock depart. Never heard of Richardson before. Would have to look into him. I'm not going to bother because that source isn't that smart. Who knows though, he could have a little scoop there, the Italian journalist, and be proven right. It's a very random link to give if it isn't true, but I've never seen him play before. I'm not going to act like I know who he is. We'll do a research on him if things develop on Amir Richardson. And on midfielders, more links over the past 24 hours on potential targets. Another one that's came up once again, that's been linked to us since the takeover, is Ruben Neves, formerly of Wolves, now at Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia. Sort us out. Give us a little cheeky loan. Help us with FFP, PIF. Sort her out. Get him in. What a quality midfielder that would be to add to the ranks. Loads of experience. Brilliantly technically gifted footballer. Hard worker. Tactical as well, you know, on set pieces. So I would like that move very much. It would be quality depth because that's what Newcastle and Eddie Howe want. A bit more quality and strength in depth for that midfield. So if a Sandro, a Bruno or a Joelinton get injured, he trusts the backup a lot more than he obviously currently does with a Willock or a Longstaff. Now, we've obviously still got young Miley there. Big season ahead for him after not getting much game time this year and injuries causing him to miss some action. But with Champions League coming up, we're linked with Neves once more. And again, Edison from Italy again. That'll be Thingy's teammate, Scalvini at Elanga, isn't it? So a bit of Edison, another Brazilian midfielder, linked in the past day or so. I mean, either of those would be absolutely fantastic and would actually push our midfielders. That's the thing, when you've got a sound midfield there, it's hard to replace them, it's hard to move them out, but it would also give them a bit of fire in the belly to make sure they perform every week, knowing that you've got an Edison or a Neves behind you, ready to push you out of that start 11. And that's what we lack, really. I think Sound and that know they're pretty comfy, no matter what they put in, what performance, what rating out of 10 they get that week. They know that they're pretty sound and safe to start the next game. But if you had them knocking on your door, some quality midfielders, it gives everyone a boost, man. It inspires you. It gets them to fight on. It gets them to try harder, work harder, and play better. And maybe that's what we need, especially with having a couple of games a week for most of the season being in the Champions League. But I tell you what, that'll do for this episode of Toon Transfers. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel TV and enjoy yourself.